and good morning, everyone. Councilmember Okimoto, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Councilmember Okimoto, would you like to introduce our guests for the message of aloha?
Thank you, Chair. Aloha and good morning, everyone. This morning, I'm so pleased and proud to welcome our message of aloha guest, Mr. Uncle Sam Choi. I'm going to give a little brief info. I know he's going to share some about himself, but I have a little, just an intro. You know, Uncle Sam is the son of a Chinese father and a German-Hawaiian mother, and he was born in Laie, Oahu, and I have a connection to Laie because that's where I went to college. He is also an alumnus of the Kapiolani Community College's Culinary Arts Program. He has a plethora of accomplishments in the food industry, the restaurant industry, and he will also share that. But he currently resides on the Big Island. He calls Kailua Kona his home. He knows a lot of people, both near and far. I'm grateful that he considers me a friend. And right now, he spends his time traveling between here and international places. He also enjoys spending time with his beloved family, his wife, and he has 2 sons, Sam Jr. and Christopher. But the pride and joys of his life are his 3 granddaughters. And I often get pictures of his 13-year-old twin granddaughters, and he also has a 25-year-old. I am so pleased and honored to have him here. He is also known, although I call him Uncle Sam, we all know him as the godfather of poke. So thank you for being here with us, and aloha, Uncle Sam.
Thank you very much. Aloha, everybody. Well, it's really an honor. Thank you for having me today. I'm just blessed to be here. But I think one of the nicest things that we all live and enjoy is Hawaii. I travel a lot. In fact, I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Napa to do a little dinner. But anyway, I'm going to take you guys back on a little quick tour of my life because it's important to share that because that's where I got branded the Aloha spirit. You know, I grew up in Laie way back when. My dad worked at Pearl Harbor. My mom was a housewife, German, Hawaiian. But the interesting thing about both of my parents, my dad's grandpa came from China to be a taro farmer. And then they grew taro up in Manoa, and they outgrew that place, and they ended up moving to Honolulu, Green Valley, and they grew taro out there. And then my dad, of course, all my uncles all got, educated and went on to become very successful people in this community. And then my dad worked at Pearl Harbor as an electrical engineer or electrician. And I was going to that school one day when he told me, I got to just give you a little word of advice. Electricity is very interesting. You don't see it and it doesn't smell, but it'll grab you. Once I heard that, I said, I'm done. And so I kind of, after I graduated from that private school out on the North Shore, I kind of went and dabbled around in college. And then, what was really funny was I got really homesick. I went to Washington State, not Washington State College, but Columbia Basin Junior College. It was full of Hawaiian kids because that was kind of like the feeding ground to University of Hawaii for those that didn't have good grades, so we had to go there first. But anyway, hey, don't laugh, it's true. But anyway, that lasted 1 semester. Then I came home, and then I was kind of like just cruising on the North Shore. And then my dad told me, you know what, either you go find a job or go back to school or join the military. So those are my options. And then my mom said, oh, Last Chance Colleges, they have a culinary program. So if you guys know Last Chance College, that's LCC. I learned that from Jerome Coco of the Maka'a Sons. But anyway, so I went there for 1 semester too, then I kind of like didn't do it. So I came home and my dad said, and what now? My mom said, oh, we signed him up at Kapiolani Community College, KCC. So I went there for like 1.5 semesters. I went one couple weeks longer than the one at Last Chance College. But anyway, I came home, then I started working. And so I'm kind of like just getting ahead of my story. But so when I was brought up in the Choi family, my dad's family, my grandpa, my uncles, my aunties were unbelievable cooks because their mom cooked for 32 employees in Honolulu on the taro farm. And my mom's family was Joseph Kekuku and a Meyer. So my mom's half Hawaiian, half German, from Hamburg. So the interesting part was Joseph Kekuku, you guys all well known, what did he invent? What did he invent? Anybody know? Shame on you guys. He invented the lap steel guitar. So every time you see a country western person playing it, a Hawaiian invented that. Very true. So that's my mom's family. And then my mom's mom worked to serve. She was in London or England learning how to take care of the queen. They were training her to, because when we first grew up, we was wondering why all these nice hutches with all this tea service and all that. And she had gotten that as a gift when she came back to, be a servant for the queen. But anyway, that didn't work out because things happened. But anyway, so from that foundation in my home, I was so well exposed to the word aloha. My mom and dad embedded in my sisters and my brother, because there were 4 of us, my brother and 2 sisters, and all went to Kamehameha except me, because I was fortunate to be lucky to go to that private school on the North Shore. But anyway, so we all had the same upbringing of being from the heart, that word aloha. And that's what I really am so blessed, because when I tour all over the country, I was on the same stage with Faith Hill over in Hormel's corporate division out there for SPAM. SPAM had 125 years out there in Austin, Minnesota. And the funny part was, about months before that, I sat next to Faith Hill on the USS, that carrier that did the first night when they showed the show Pearl Harbor. I don't know if you guys went to that. But anyway, she sat right next to me. And when she came on the stage, she hugged me and she says, "You remember me?" I says, "Yes, I do. You sat next to me, but you didn't tell me you're going to sing the national anthem." But she went up and sang the national anthem on the USS Stennis. But anyway, we were on the stage together in not Omaha, but in Minnesota, Hormel's headquarters. And I was sharing my aloha there. Had 125 people from Hawaii that either was in the military or married to a person that came and see me do my presentation. And they're called it's some kind of tundra, the ice tundra of that side. And if you go online, you can find them. And there are a whole bunch of guys that are from the islands. And they invited me. I had to go to dinner that night, but the next night they took me to their homes, and we had a big Hawaiian luau. So that's been kind of like my biggest thing that I've really been blessed, is to take this aloha out to the people that are from Hawaii or want to come to Hawaii but can't afford it. And so I take this food. I'm getting ready to go on a poke tour. I'm starting off in Dallas, Texas, with Pomai and Barry. They have a restaurant out there, and they got over 6,000 people coming to it. They got some entertainment. Maol is just there, and he called me up and told me that, he saw my banner out there. So I said, yeah, I'm going to be out there. But more importantly, the word aloha. I hope are you sleeping? You okay? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought maybe I'm boring you guys. I'm just kidding. But anyway, the word aloha, it really has a deep meaning. And I was so blessed to be brought up into a house that had a lot of aloha. My mom, and she was like telling us when we were young, you have to care for your neighbors, your friends, but more importantly, you always put your best foot forward in the word aloha. And the reason for that is because it has to come from your heart. A lot of people go, aloha, 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 but you got to really mean it. And a lot of times when I leave an event or if I leave a place that I've just got through doing what I'm doing, people always tell me, man, we could feel your love. I meet people on the plane. We're good friends today. I meet people in the Admirals Clubs. We're good friends today. And it's all because of my upbringing. And I always tell people this too. And I always say, if America was founded through Hawaii first, what you guys think? We'd be a dang good, I cannot say bad words, but we'd be a dang good country. We got a lot of aloha here. Maybe there are times that we kind of like say something and people get kind of offended or what, but that's the way it is. But I was so blessed. Growing up in Laia, Hukilau Beach, on the weekends I was there at the boathouse with Manuela Kalili. They babysat me while my mom and dad ran a little store in Laia. It's still there. It's called Sam's Store right next to Hukilau Cafe. That was my first start in the restaurant industry right there at Hukilau Cafe. And I can go on about all the stories in my travel and life, but it's really important for all of us in this room here to really realize how blessed we are to be from Hawaii and have this opportunity to share this love called aloha. I think Max Holloway just shared it the other night when we were there at that fight. He just shared it to that guy he knocked out. You know, he gave him the nice aloha poi pounding punch. But, you know, the real interesting thing, it was a great feeling in there. People were crying, people were screaming. All the people from Hawaii that was there, that could afford to be there, was there. And it was a great feeling. And that's the feeling we have here in Hawaii. You know, I mean, as we see our islands kind of implode with visitors and things like that, I think we got to reach out and educate them. We got a beach in Kona called Pine Trees, and all of a sudden, it came from locals to our visitors. And I asked this one visiting family, I said, how do you guys know about this place? Oh, it's on an app right here on your guys' phone. You know, it's just amazing. But we got to help them understand what we're doing. I don't know if any of you guys saw the show Dancing with the Wolves. Kevin Costner. I always tell people this, because I had this lady one time just cut right in front of me to take a parking stall, which is fine. I reversed back, then I went up to her and I said, oh, you know, I was waiting for it. She said, well, I saw it first. So you're not going to get in an argument. You don't argue. You're not going to win. So I told her, I said, where you from? She goes, I'm from California. I said, when you go home today, try go online and look for this show, Dancing with the Wolves. She goes, what does Dancing with the Wolves have to do with me parking my car? I said, no, just go home and watch that show. Because to me, in that message of that show, he went there on behalf of the American government into the Indian reservation, right? And he went there not to tell them how to live. He went there to teach them and understand how he has to learn how they lived and be part of them. And that's why I always tell people, we got the greatest word, aloha, but we got to make sure that we extend our hands out to have people know that aloha means this, you know, love, caring, have a good day. I mean, there's not a day. My texts, I always kind of like finish it with aloha, right? Even if they're from Boston or wherever they're from that I'm communicating, I always share that. And I tell you one thing that I really love is like when I'm out there and people look at me, and when I come off the stage, or if I come off of, you know, whatever, I'm a cooking demo or what, let me tell you, they come up to me and it goes like, man, you're a special kind of guy. I says, you know what? I had a great upbringing. My mom and dad instilled in me to be humble, to be proud of where you're from, and more importantly, to share this. You know, and I always tell people, you know, they go, how come you don't cook in Hawaii? I said, I do cook in Hawaii. I cook in my house, you know. But the most important thing, I always tell people, if they can't come, I'll come to them. You know, and that's what I've been doing. I've been traveling a lot to share this love. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a lady in Hawaii, Yusai Khan. So, is she here? Yeah, so you know what? I was in Hong Kong with her, and I walked into her penthouse there, and I looked up and I went like, wow, she has a picture of Laie. I went, hey, that's where Laie Point with the whole with the island, right? I said, that's where I'm from. She goes, I went to college, CCH. I'm a graduate. I went, you gotta be kidding. So here I am, all the way out there. So we became good friends. She lives out here in Hawaii now, but she's traveling a lot. She is a very, very talented and very loved into the Hawaiian culture. She's just amazing. Yusai Khan. Look her up. But anyway, so how many more minutes I got? Huh? Oh, man, take more time. You guys not hungry. I'm going to talk long now. But yeah, so, you know, I mean, I'm so blessed. I'm just more really honored to represent our islands and our people. You know, I think when you look at all the great people from Hawaii that's done that, you know, you can go on and on. The list goes on and on and on. From Shane Victorino, whatever he's done, Marcus Moriota, to all those guys that came out of our islands and are doing a great job. You know, there's an extra burden on our shoulders. We got to make sure we speak the truth of aloha, we be humble, and we share that. And another word that I really always tell people, the Hawaiians were way ahead of the game, and the word is called pono. You know, that word pono means a lot. You know, and I live pono. I'm very, very much into that frame of Pono. I mean, you got to think now, the highway was the ocean for those guys. When they came across, I mean, you had to be Pono. You couldn't be like mad with the guy behind me or mad with the person in the front or where are we going or what. You had to have one voice and everybody was just listening to the one voice. And the only way you can achieve that is through the word Pono, and that's why I've always, been blessed to have those two words in my life, And like I said, my mom, she'd always, every day we'd get our little family dinner. My dad always said, we're not going to make a plate and go sit down and watch TV. Even when he was getting ready to pass, we had our last Thanksgiving. We had that dinner. My mom says, I know you want to go watch the game, but you know what? Hasn't changed here in this house. So we sat, made our food and everything. And, and that's what was nice in our house. We never forgot. I do that now, even with my kids when my two boys come home. They're captains on mega yachts, so they're always all over the world. But when they're home, we always kind of like share that love, like sit down, have food. And you'd be surprised, even as busy as all of you folks are, you guys, you guys are very busy. I mean, Augie, how many hats you wear, Augie? Huh? 3. I got you beat by half a hat. But just kidding, you guys are busy, and it's hard to really find and share that family love or just that circle with that comfort zone. It's like when I sit in my chair at home with my dogs. We got 4 dogs, 3 cats, and 1 bird. We got a petting zoo in our house. The interesting part is I feel so comfortable, And that's what you need to have. Because 7 months out of the year, I'm out of Hawaii. That's a lot. I'm kind of winding it down to maybe 6 months, half a year. But can I ask if they want any questions? I mean, I'm kind of, I don't know. I see this over here. That's kind of spooky. Are there any questions? Anybody? Anybody? Come on. I just spoke over at Princeton, at Brown University. Man, they had to cut the questions, man. Everybody was asking questions. Like if I ever saw Don Ho, did I see Duke Anamoka? I said, I see him all the time when I'm riding through Waikiki. They go, where? I said, the statue. The statue? No question? No question? You guys boring. But anyway, just want to thank you guys for having me here. I don't want to go any longer than I should be. Save your claps because I'm not finished. But just remember, what you guys do in here, it kind of makes everybody out there happy, okay? Just remember that. We love what you folks do. It's not easy. Life's not easy, but to be leaders of our county and our state, it's not easy. It's rough. I get that all the time. I say, oh, this dish is so good. They go like, oh, what's that? You can tell when somebody tells you like, what's wrong? That's not my style. Yes.
Here, you don't mind, right? With your indulgence? Okay, where can I buy the best poke?
Well, Tanioka's has always been my favorite. Tanioka's out there. I look for fresh fish because a lot of frozen fish is out on the market today. I love fresh food. KTA on the Big Island. Those guys, the Tanigawas there, they use Toby them. They use fresh fish. A lot of places are using the frozen Indonesian, Philippines fish. But, I'm not going to go there. But Tanioka's my favorite. And then you go and ask your fishmongers here, wherever you buy your poke from, just say, is it fresh? Because you got to eat fresh fish, I mean, a lot of times I get asked a question like about parasites and stuff like that. I look at them and I said, look at me now, look at me real good. They look at me and go, what's wrong? I said, I've been eating raw fish all my life. Do I look like I got a parasite in me? I go to Alaska, I made salmon poke, they loved it. I was in Louisiana. Crawfish, I made crawfish poke. And you should have seen the Louisiana guys, they look at me and they go like, are you gonna eat that? I said, wait a minute. I'm eating a crawfish. You guys are eating alligator tails like chicken. And you guys telling me I'm gonna eat that? Of course I'm gonna eat that. Once they had it, they loved it, But yeah, so that's Tanioka's.
Uncle Sam, thank you so much. I want to, just to respect everyone's time, we are so grateful you're here. Thank you for being my guest today and sharing your wonderful story. We all love you and appreciate all that you're doing for Hawaii, and not just the food industry, but for our people here. But so if we could give a round of applause. Thank you, Uncle Sam.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Love you guys. Aloha.
Sam Choi, true ambassador of Aloha. Thank you. Members, I have a few procedural announcements. Although remote oral testimony is being permitted, this is a regular meeting and not a remote meeting by interactive conference technology under Hawaii Revised Statute Section 92-3.7. Therefore, the meeting will continue notwithstanding loss of audiovisual communication with remote testifiers or loss of the public broadcast of the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda, either in person in the council chamber or remotely. Before testifying, each person shall state their full name and the agenda item they are testifying on. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 3-minute presentation on public hearing and new business items, and a 1-minute presentation on all other items. Registered in-person testifiers will be called first. When your name is called, please proceed to the podium and begin by stating your name and the items you will be speaking on. When I call for anyone who has not registered to speak in person, please line up to the front of the podium, and when it is your turn, proceed to the podium. Begin by stating your name and the item you'll be speaking on. All persons who have registered to testify remotely by video conference or phone will then be called. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. When I call for anyone else standing by remotely, please utilize the Zoom raise hand button to indicate your desire to speak. For those joining us by telephone only, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. The following are some friendly tips and reminders. Video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you are also watching the proceeding on Olelo, please mute your television when you are called to testify. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. And by the way, members, we have 38 pages, approximately 66 bills and resolutions today, so I will do my best to monitor the time limit. For those who are joining us by telephone only, I will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When your number is called, please press *6 to unmute yourself when prompted. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and telephone number, will be available to the public as described by the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off your cell phones during the meeting. Members, Bill 7 from page 22, Bill 7 from page 22 will be the first item considered, and Resolution 24-100 from page 26 will be moved to the end of the calendar. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Cordero?
Here.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam? Councilmember Kia Aina?
Here.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Present.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba? Councilmember Tupola?
Eo.
Councilmember Wire?
Here.
Chair Waters?
Here.
Mr. Chair, 8 members are present, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. Floor Leader Cordero, any guests?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to welcome members of the administration, and I'd also like to welcome our Managing Director, Mike Formby. Thank you.
So much. Vice Chair Kia Aina, motion to approve the minutes.
I move that the minutes of the 19th session be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, the minutes have been approved. Now, members, I'd like to turn to page 22. From the Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 98 be adopted and Bill 7 pass 3rd reading. This relates to declaring the City and County of Honolulu a Purple Heart City.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you for the explanation. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have 1 person in the chamber.
Hello, welcome. Please proceed. There you go. Oh,
Hi, my name is Takumi Abe. I'm with the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 483. First of all, I'm just going to keep it simple, short. Council members, Councilman Augie Toba, thank you so much for everything you have done. You and your team has done an amazing job pushing this proclamation through. So thank you so much. Mahalo.
thank you. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none. Hello, welcome.
Hi there, Chair and members of the council. On behalf of the chapter and itself and the National Committee, we'd like to thank all of you for doing what you're doing. We had Ace Kalihano, who's 91 years old, but he couldn't be here today, and he passed on his regrets. And the other individual that wasn't here was Command Sergeant Major Alan Kellogg, who was a Medal of Honor winner, and he would have loved to have been here to meet you. Again, thank you very much for everything. Goodbye now.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to testify? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, do we have any remote or by phone testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Toba.
Thank you, Chair. First off, I'd like to thank my colleagues for supporting all the Purple Heart recipients, especially for making the city and county of Honolulu a Purple Heart city. To Takome Abe, Ed Cruikshank, and the members of the Purple Heart Rainbow Chapter, I'd like to express my heartfelt thanks for being here today, especially for your sacrifice and dedication to our country and our community. The Purple Heart is our nation's highest military honor, and we salute you and thank you for your bravery and the love you have shown on our behalf. Thank you, Chair, and in full support.
Thank you. Members, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam? Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. CR 98 has been adopted and Bill 7 has passed third reading. Thank you and mahalo for your service. Members, moving back to page 4, appointments and resolutions from the Committee on Budget, Councilmember Cordero.
Okay, I move that committee report 94 and resolution 24-43 be adopted. Okay, this relates to the appointment of David Scan to serve on the Grants and Aid Advisory Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you. I see Mr. Scan in the audience. Aloha, welcome. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Chair Waters. Good morning and aloha, Council. I'd like to thank Mayor Belangiardi for his nomination and the support of his staff, Sam Moku and Steve Ueno in particular. I'd also like to thank the unanimous approval of the Budget Committee on April 2nd. Thank you for your support. I hope to earn all of your unanimous approval, and it would be an honor and a privilege to work with you and serve this fine community. With that, I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Scan? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Okay. Members are in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 94 and Resolution 24-43 has been adopted. Congratulations, Mr. Scan. Thank you. Councilmember Cordero.
Oh, I move that committee report 96 and resolution 24-63 be adopted.
Second.
This relates to the council's appointment of Cynthia L. McMillan to serve on the Rate Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Ms. McMillan. Aloha, thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Chair. Council members, my name is Cindy McMillan. I have been a transit user my entire adult life, from commuting to shopping to recreation. I got my Holo Holo card, I got the bus app, I'm ready to go. I will be available to make the meetings at, as far as possible. I do work, but my schedule's fairly flexible, so I'll be able to do that. I know setting transit rates is part science and based on data, and that's the part I'll do my homework on, but it also has to do with psychology of riders, and that's something that I bring to the table. So I would appreciate your support today. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Ms. McMillan? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 96 and Resolution 24-63 has been adopted. Congratulations, Ms. McMillan, and thank you for serving. Members, turning to the top of page 5, from the Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 100 and Resolution 24-35 be adopted.
Second.
This confirms the appointment of Cynthia Lynch to serve on the Ethics Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you so much. It's been moved and seconded. Is Ms. Lynch here? Aloha. Good to see you again.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, so thank you very much for your support. I appreciate your support. I've talked with several of you individually and been here before you a couple of times, and so I think you're familiar with me. I am completely dedicated to ethical practice and governance, and I am happy to serve. So thank you for your support.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Ms. Lynch? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members in discussion? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 100 and Resolution 24-35 has been adopted. Thank you again, Ms. Lynch. From the Committee on Parks, Enterprise Services, and Culture and the Arts, Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR 118 and Resolution 24-41 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Confirming the appointment of Jasper Wong to serve on the Commission of Culture and the Arts and for the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you so much. Is Mr. Wong here? Aloha, thank you for being here today. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to Mayor Blangiardi and Samoku for the nomination. And I've born and raised in Hawaii, been an artist all my life, and spent my life providing platforms and supporting artists here. So it's an honor for me to serve and be a part of the Commission of Culture and the Arts. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Seeing none, CR 118 and Resolution 24-41 has been adopted. Congratulations and thank you, Mr. Wong. Moving to the top of page 6, Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR 119 and Resolution 24-42 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Confirming the appointment or reappointment of Michael Robinson to serve on the Board of Parks and Recreation for the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you so much. I see Mr. Robinson is here. Would you like to say a few words?
Mike Robinson, thank you very much for the opportunity to be considered for this and my second term, and look forward to working with the city and my colleagues on this. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any questions, members? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, discussion? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 119 and Resolution 24-42 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 6. Congratulations and thank you. From the Committee on Planning and the Economy, Councilmember Kia Aina.
I move that Committee Report 123 and Resolution 24-40 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution confirms the reappointment of Anthony Mizuno to serve on the Economic Revitalization Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you very much. Is Mr. Mizuno here? Mr. Mizuno is unable to make it today. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 123 and Resolution 24-40, CD1 has been adopted. Congratulations, Mr. Mizuno. Moving to the top of page 7, Resolution 24-64, authorizing the use of overt video monitoring in the city and county of Honolulu at scenic points in East Honolulu. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, yes, we do have a testifier in the chamber.
Okay. Please proceed. Oh, Nelly Wasa, aloha, welcome.
Thank you, Natalie Wassa, for the record. Yeah, this resolution would put video monitors up at Makapu'u Lighthouse, the Kiwi Scenic Shoreline, at Halana, Blowhole, and the Lanai Lookout. And I'm very disappointed to see this. I'm very concerned about all of the video recordings that we have going on. You know, there have been studies that people modify their behavior when they know that somebody is watching them, in particular the government. And I apologize, I wanted to put together some of those studies for you so you would have them. I hope to do that for committee, but I really oppose this. Surveillance leads to self-censorship. It leads to conformity among people who think they're being surveilled. They don't feel free to express themselves. And I understand that we're trying to mitigate some risks of crime and potential safety, but I think the cost here is too high when we continually surveil our citizens. So I will try to put some more information together for you when you can consider this in committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the signups.
Thank you. Members, if you have any questions, a representative from the Honolulu Police Department is also present if there are any further questions. Councilmember Tupola.
Thanks so much, Chair. For HPD.
Good morning, Major Brian Lynch for District 7, which is East Honolulu.
Aloha, Major. Thank you for being with us. Quick question. So for overt monitoring with video surveillance, I'm guessing you guys already use some forms of it, correct, in areas, or is this the first time that you'll be doing it in these areas?
In these particular areas, this would be the first time, yes.
And the purpose of it, from what I'm reading in the resolution, is for the safety as far as our inability, and many of these areas are considered city parks and other areas for public use, is for the safety of those that are there. Is that correct?
Yes, it's to suppress the criminal activity in these areas.
And the budget for this is something you guys already have built into your budget?
Currently now, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that, because I do think that in general, at most of our beach parks, we do have quite a bit of people that unknowingly leave things there, and then there's smash and grabs, which, you know, police can't just hang out in parking lots. So I don't believe that by having this video monitoring that it's going to be an over invasion of privacy, as much as if there is an incident, you guys would go back and review the surveillance footage. Is that correct?
I would agree with that wholly, yes.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to sit around and watch all the hours of it. But if someone says that there was an incident, it was at Cocoa Head Park at this time, then at least you guys can say, okay, let's see if there's anything that can lead us to believe that there was something that needs to be addressed.
Not only that, but there's a huge deterrence factor involved with the presence of these items at these locations.
Oh, I would agree. Sometimes in my district, we put up broken ones, and even the broken ones scare people away. Yeah. So if there is anything that deters people from thinking that someone is watching, of course, there's less crime. So thank you for your work. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions for HPD? Seeing none, thank you very much for being here today. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, resolution, pardon me. Seeing none, Resolution 24-64 has been referred to the Committee on Public Safety. Moving to the top of page 8, From the Committee on Budget, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 88 be adopted and Resolution 24-61 be referred back to the Committee on Budget.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
Thank you. This determines the real property tax rates for the City and County of Honolulu for the fiscal year July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Yes, we have testifier in the chamber signed up.
Thank you. I have a list here. We have 10 registered testifiers, starting with Jill Paulin, Oahu Short-Term Rental Alliance. Pardon? Ms. Iwasa, please proceed.
Thank you, Natalie Wassa, for the record. I oppose the rates for the residential A and B and B. And I did submit written testimony, I think it was late last night, but what I included in there is the tables for the current fiscal year. And if you look at those tables for the tax, you can see that the residential A has only about 10% of the properties on Oahu, but they pay almost 18% of the taxes. And I'm just really concerned about this. I mean, I appreciate what was done last year, lowering the first tier from $4.50 to $4, but that's still 50 cents per thousand higher than the regular residential A. And I think we really need to recognize that people who own second homes, many of them provide those homes for people like me and my family, people who cannot afford to buy their own home. So I'm really concerned about that. If you take a look at that table, you can also see the bulk of the properties is 82%, yet they pay 40%. Now, I'm not suggesting that you increase their rates in that area, but what I would like to suggest is that you look at those exemptions, especially the ones under the charitable definition, because included in that are labor unions, social clubs, business leagues, and they're not broken down. So the first step, in my opinion, is asking BFS for a breakdown of those numbers, because that is a huge amount. That is in the second table that I sent to you. And if you look down under charitable purposes, down near the bottom, the third line from the bottom, that's a $26 million subsidy that other taxpayers have to foot, because many of them in that group are not charitable organizations. So I would suggest that that would be a good starting place. I've been suggesting that for over 10 years, and I think now is the time. We have more pressures on our city budget, and they're not going to go away. In fact, they're going to get worse. So, you know, having these higher rates, even B&B, look at B&B. People who are retirees, that's one of the things that they can do, is they can rent out a portion of their home, they live in it, and you're looking at charging them $650 per thousand. Why penalize these people? They're trying to hold on to their homes in a legitimate fashion, and you're going to raise their rate to $650? I just don't think that's right. So I ask you to look at these issues more closely, and unfortunately, anything you do with the exemptions now doesn't go into effect until the following fiscal year. So the time is now, so that the following fiscal year, we can get some real relief for the people who are currently subsidizing those taxpayers who I believe are not paying their fair share. So thank you very much.
Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Moving to remote testifiers. We have 10 people who signed up, but I believe we have 3 online, starting with Jill Paulin.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and Council members. I'm Jill Paulin with OSTRA, and we strongly oppose Resolution 2461. Our organization represents thousands of mid and short-term rental owners, cleaners, property managers, contractors, and others that rely on our rentals for their livelihood. We are grateful for the separate transient vacation tax classification, as it recognizes that our rentals are different than hotels. When the new rate category was discussed last year, it was suggested that they start at 6.5 and 10.5 due to the hybrid nature of our rentals. Hotels generate over 40% of their income from restaurants, shops, and other services. We do not have that option. We were prepared for the doubling of our taxes, but anything more seems punitive. 1 in 4, or 25%, of the island's visitors are not here on vacation. They choose our rentals along with residents in transition, traveling nurses, and other essential workers. Events like the Red Hill Crisis and Marco Polo fires displaced thousands of our residents. These types of events require transitional housing for a week, a month, or longer. There are currently hundreds of temporary contractors staying on Oahu and flying to Maui every day to help Lahaina. Temporary furnished housing is vital and must be kept affordable. It was mentioned that the proposed rates were partially based on the short-term rental property tax rates on Maui and Kauai. Oahu has a much larger population with residents and workers that need affordable temporary housing. Our rentals average less than $300 a night, with some less than $200 a night. This compares to the pre-fire average short-term rental rate on Maui of over $650 a night. Kauai is right behind them. The majority of our rentals are basic furnished accommodations compared to luxury vacation properties. They are very different. Another important difference is where our rental owners live. Our member surveys show that 76% of Oahu's short-term rental owners are residents. 78% are seniors that use this income to allow them to age in place. We also have younger owners who purchased a short-term rental because they could not afford $1 million primary residence. This investment helped them qualify and eventually buy a home. As we all know, a single income is not enough these days. If the concern is about tourists not paying their fair share, there should be a more specific tax applied to tourists rather than an increase in the taxes on transitional and short-term housing. Please lower these proposed rates. Do not put an unfair burden on our residents and the essential workers that rely on this housing. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next, we have Virginia Dudden.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you for letting me testify with you today. And I just wanted to say that the proposed rates are dramatically higher than what was discussed with the City Council last year when the new TUV or TVU classification was established. And TVU owners relied upon the discussion at that time when making the decision to register their property. Under the new proposal, the rate structure is about double what it had been, what we'd been discussing. And those tax doublings are on top of the cost of registering to be a TVU. So, which I think are about $2,000. Raising taxes so dramatically will certainly discourage folks from registering in all likelihood. Also, I would just ask that you treat TVU owners fairly and respectfully. We are, after all, your constituents and your neighbors, not just evil mainlanders. We also are not multinational hotels that pay taxes and that doesn't even matter. So again, as previously discussed, the new TVU rate should be between the residential rate and the hotel rate. Jill, who was just before me of OSTRA, outlined how this tax structure could work more effectively. And I just wanted to echo her proposal. And again, we're your neighbors, and we also your constituents. We vote. So please treat us fairly when you look at us as a source of tax revenues. Again, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Seeing none. Next, we have Sherilyn Fu. You're on mute.
Hi there.
Aloha,
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Hi, good morning. I am one of the original people that had an original nuke back in 1989. This is a family enterprise for me. Today is my 69th birthday, and this is how I have to spend it, to beg you not to put me out of business. I am one of 114 residential units, not TMKs. You have to understand how this works, okay? My certificate fees have gone up 50 times from 1989. My taxes, my property taxes went from residential to residential A, and now you want to quadruple my taxes over the next, after 2 years of this. And I don't know that you care or not, but the state has now given the county the power to take away my nuke completely. I want to retire. I'm trying to pass this on to my son and his children. And I'm sitting here every year fighting to stay alive. And I started in 1989. There's 114 units that are zoned residential on Oahu. 114 units. That's not TMKs. You have to understand how the numbers work here. I'm in tears and stress every day going, the state's going to give you the power to take my nukes, and then you're going to tax me to death. So you're going to tax me to death, so I'm out of business, and then take the nukes away? I don't understand who this is supposed to help. I'm so sorry, but raising my property taxes possibly to 300% more is outrageous. I am a Kapuna. I am one of the 78% of the people who live here. I've been here for 30, million years here. And I'm just begging of you, every year I have to fight to stay in line. I did nothing wrong in 1989. I still have done nothing wrong. We have done everything to be correct, paid all our taxes, pay all our fees, no matter how much they go up. And I just don't understand who this benefits. Are you trying to get from a small people money for your budget, or are you just trying to put us out completely? That is all I have to say. I'm just begging of you. This is unreasonable on every level to even double, quadruple my taxes and the way I can make a living. And all these illegal people will stay illegal, and there'll be more and more of them because you're only punishing and targeting the legal people. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Ms. Fu?
Yes, Chair.
Councilmember Wai.
Thank you. And just briefly, because I know we have a lot on the agenda, but appreciate your testimony, Ms. Fu. I was just wondering, could you maybe just outline a little bit more about what your operation is and the surrounding community and what other similar accommodations are there, just so folks kind of understand what we're talking about in terms of what you're providing?
Okay, well, I do not have luxury housing, that's for sure. My brother, Mark Fu, who was a surfer back in the day, had actually started renting rooms to the surfers in the wintertime so they weren't living on the beach. All my stuff is very, very budget oriented. I'm not competing with anybody. And all of my neighbors have no problem with me. I feel like I've been part of the community. I am part of the community. I offer, short-term under 30-day rentals. I don't even do 30 days, never have been since 1989. I have, I'm part of, my neighbors live right next door. They have no problem. Everybody's just shocked if I'm not going to be there because they all support me and they all have my phone number. I don't have a party place. It's just budget, affordable accommodations for Kama'aina, for visiting family members of people who live here on the North Shore. And we have very little on the North Shore except for the Turtle Bay and a couple other places. We have a total of 70 units across the entire North Shore that have nukes, 70 across the entire North Shore. And, if you have a duplex, you're talking about 2 certificates. But I'm just saying, I'm just a very small family operation. It's not luxury on any level. And I am part of the community. I help my community by giving their friends and family housing or when they're on vacation, or if I've got traveling nurses. We used to go to Wahiwa. It's just a myriad of people. And is that enough?
Yes, mahalo. Appreciate the insight. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, members? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Fu. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other remote testifiers?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have a final testifier with their hand raised.
Please proceed.
aloha. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. I hope everybody's having a good day. I have been a broken record on this for quite a while. Especially, I wanted to address the residential A. The threshold of residential A at 1 million, and then it jumping up so high is actually not, well, I don't want to say not practical, but it's unreasonable. I remember when residential A first came up during the Caldwell administration. And I was the only one who testified that $1 million here is not like $1 million in Arizona or in Indiana or in Ohio. $1 million homes are little shacks most of the time. And I think that sometimes we forget the fact that landlords who rent to others are providing a housing service. And I'm especially concerned about the local landlords who rent long-term to renters. If you keep continuing to raise the residential A rates, it's not the landlord who are just being affected. It is also the renters who have been renting for a long time. I have a lot of friends who are also landlords, and they are saying that, hey, they are just going to pick up and sell their homes to the highest bidders. And if that's the case, usually it is cash buyers from the mainland or elsewhere who can afford to pay the higher prices. And guess what's going to happen then? The new landlord, if they rent and not try to do illegal vacation or whatever, the landlord is going to dramatically increase the rental prices. So there's a domino effect here. And I think that we really need to think about that those things do have impacts not only on local landlords, but also on our local long-term renters. And again, we need to remember that rentals are part of the housing service, and rentals also help prevent homelessness. So there's a lot of related cumulative impacts and multiplier impacts to it. So we need to revisit that again, because this gentrification is not going to do well in the long term. And I also believe that older people who have lived in their home a long time and they want to do vacation rental, they should be free to do vacation rental without any further charges and further costs and further taxes, because they have already paid their due. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. Hi, Ms. James. Thank you very much for your testimony. I just wanted to ask, mainly because what is your understanding of the change in rates with residential A from last year to this year?
There's a skip. Well, I've said the same thing last year. There's a skip. I think my concern is that the $1 million milestone is not realistic.
Okay.
That's my concern there.
Thank you. I thought that you had the concern with the uptick in rate when the rate didn't change. So I just wanted that clarification.
No,
thank you.
Not you know, the idea too is that I think that a lot of times we feel like $1 million is a huge milestone, but real estate prices will keep going up. I mean, I have sold homes that are in the 200 and now they're in the 2 million. So it will keep going up.
Thank you, Ms. James.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, any further testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Members, we're in discussion. Oh, yes, absolutely. Welcome. Please proceed.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I just wanted to jump up on this because my name's Malia Espinda. I'm from Kailua, but I'm actually a landlord. And we do have a property in the Aiea area that been in our family since 1960. We've had the same tenants for 8 years. I've raised their rent once by $200 in those 8 years. Over the progress of the 8 years, the property tax assessed value has been going up, and I had been warning and warning. And it's just a couple. She is the general manager, and he was a man who jumped out of planes for a living. He did skydiving. He died a year ago, and I was just having a conversation with him, like, this is getting really close to residential A, and when it does, I have to have this conversation with you guys, because I can't absorb that and the insurance and everything, right? I try to keep it low for them, keep it reasonable. And so it just hit residential A after he died. And so now I have to have that conversation. I did have that conversation with the widow. So it's real. Like, it's real, this $1 million threshold. That family home was purchased in 1960 for $60,000, right? We're lucky, we're very fortunate to have that property. But I just want to pass that on. And also, while I'm at it, because I'm listening to the B&B, I'm also the child of the woman, you can Google this, Doris Epp, was the person who brought that model here, sorry. But, so I'm very familiar with with B&Bs. And on my street, my residential street in Kailua, we had 5 B&Bs at any given time, right next to me. An elderly couple who had their B&B and were using that income because their regular home is kind of just a shack. And they were supplementing themselves. And now it's vacant. So that's all real stories that are really happening on the streets of this town that are trying to survive. So I just wanted to share that those stories are real. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you, Mrs. Spenda. I actually do have a question. So if you look at residential A, Tier 1 and Tier 2, we actually modified the Tier 1 and brought it down to $4, and the higher tiers would offset it. I know that we haven't restarted the permitted interaction group, but of course, the threshold is what we've been hearing about, meaning the 1 million doesn't get much, and we're looking at to raise that threshold. Would you think 1.3 million would be an appropriate threshold?
I think that's left to you all. I think if there's a person like me who, my tenants are my family, and I've had this really frank conversation with them. Give me an option that allows me to have a long-term lease with that person and not be impacted by the fluctuations of taxes.
Got it.
So whatever you guys decide, that's your kuleana.
I think we do understand that because last year we saw a lot of people pass that 1 million threshold.
Yeah.
And the Tier 1, I don't know if you fall in Tier 1.
I do at this point, yes.
Okay, so it's 50 cents above the residential.
Yes.
So
well, but still, to have that, again, in 8 years for me, I did not raise rent but once, a little bit. So they're not rich people.
Got it. Thank you for testifying.
Thank you.
Any further questions, members? Any further discussion? Councilmember Tupola.
Thanks so much, Chair. And yeah, thank you to the testifier. No questions, but appreciate sharing real stories. And of course to Ms. Fu for sharing as well. It's good for us to hear the practical implementation of the things that we discuss here. And so I'm in agreement that there needs to be an adjustment to the proposal. And I think that's why it's going back to committee. And I thank the budget chair for letting me sit in and for the robust conversations we had, because I don't think anyone was set on what we discussed, and that's why we need to discuss it further. But I will say that I've spent hours since that meeting trying to understand it myself, because I believe the only people who have legal TVUs that are going to go from Res or Res A up to TVU is yourself, myself, and Councilmember Wire. So 3 of my areas have ones that'll go from Res and Res A up, which it will be anywhere between 157% increase and 400%, as I took the values of their homes and considered the different tiers, the value, and what they're paying now. So I know we're all opposed to illegal vacation rentals, but we're talking about $1,850 and around 70 people that we are trying to discuss what category they go in. And I think that's always been the goal, right? Is to try to get people into the correct classifications so that we can further try to implement the law. So just to emphasize, I know for a fact that in this council, we don't want people to feel like they're getting pushed out of Hawaii. And that's why we have our conversations long and lengthy and in-depth to make sure that we're trying to take care of residents. And so I just wanted to say thank you to those who are legally and transparently identifying who they are. They're testifying, they're submitting testimony, they're saying, this is who I am, this is where I live, this is how much I pay, because these are people that are not hiding in the shadows. They've decided to register, they've paid all the fees, they pay the OTAT, they pay all of the taxes that are required of them. And it is true, 75% of these people are our kupuna, and at least 7% of them are 75 years and older. And so we're really going to be affecting a class of people that have no other wherewith of how to create or generate income. I do think that as we discuss this back into committee, I'll be attending, because I really think that without looking at all the numbers, considering the exact units and TMKs that are in our district, we really wouldn't know how much we're impacting it. So I am opposed to the $9 that's being proposed for the TVUs, but I'm going to be submitting a council communication with some research that I've tried to do with BFS, with OSTRA, in my own district, to try to just disclose how I came up with what I'm proposing, because I think that's what we want, right? Data. We want to see how is this number really impacting people, because I don't think by making new classifications we were trying to do a money grab and get $20 million more for the budget. I think we were trying to put people in correct classifications and encourage registration, which is not going to happen if the taxes are too punitive. But I'm thankful to the budget chair, and I look forward to more discussion on this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I also look forward to a robust discussion when this bill moves back to committee. I will also be interested in modifications for the TVUs, with the caveat, however, that we can't look at it in isolation from all of the other classes, because for me, I'm very interested in residential A, because we are trying to provide more of a market for longer term rentals. And so against that backdrop, we just need to ensure that there is fairness in how residential A tiers are looked at, as well as TVUs. But I know that Councilmember Wire is also likely going to be proposing it. So I think that there is a groundswell of support for many of those who've testified today to revisit the proposed rates for TVU. So I'm, again, looking forward to that discussion. But I want to also make sure that it's fair to those who are in residential A. And I myself would like to revisit the threshold for residential A. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. I actually had a question for Director Kawano.
Please.
Thank you, Director Kawano. And I would just start off by saying I do express the same sentiments. I think I also shared in the last budget hearing.
Excuse me,
Sorry.
Councilmember Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services.
Thank
For
you.
the record, thank you.
Thank you. My question is going to be, I think I asked in the past about how we can regulate better the non-registered illegal units. But my main question for you is, we've had testimony on the owners of B&Bs, and then we talked about the difference between the B&Bs and the TVUs, and we see the big jump because a lot of these residents who were residential and were getting taxed at the resi now will be under the B&Bs, which is almost double. Can that rate or this jump be lower for those who are living in the home and they rent out a portion of it or they use a portion of it and they're registered? Instead of going from $350 to $650, could that rate be lowered? And how would that impact, the income loss or the impact on the revenue?
First of all, before I answer your question, I want to say that as part of the administration, we stand behind our proposal. To the question on whether the rate can be lowered, the answer is council can lower the rate. But I do agree with Vice Chair Kia Aina in that if you decide to do that, look at everything holistically, because the real property tax revenue for FY25 helps to cover and provide for a balanced budget. So if we start dropping rates, you know, by class without looking at everything together, we're going to have to cut the budget somewhere, you know, in terms of operations. So I just put that out there.
That's a fair, and I appreciate your honesty, because I do worry that those who have been abiding and you know following the rules for decades are now being impacted. So what I may have asked this in the previous hearing. What can we do then to tackle those who are not registered? Because if that were the case, then maybe we could soften the blow to our B&Bs if we could tackle the TVUs and get those residents or those numbers up so that they're giving money, they're putting money into the system that way instead of having to almost double for the B&Bs.
Yeah, you know, we weren't, we were very, I thought, very transparent about the B&B rates because that $6.50 per thousand rate has always been in place, right? It's just that we didn't have anyone in that class prior to our projection for FY25. So we didn't change it. You know, the 650 stayed at 650. We felt as an administration that when you compare B&B to TVU, if as a renter you on a short-term basis go into a TVU, you have a higher level of private use and enjoyment because the owner's not occupying the space with you for that short-term rental. You have it to yourself. And not in Hawaii, but I've done Airbnb. Our family has on the West Coast, and we typically, you know, we're in a home that we have complete use of, right? The owner's not there, so we understand if we pay a little more, you know, when we travel. So that was the thought process. You know, the base $9 rate on the first 800,000. That's still closer to the 650 than the hotel rate at 1390 per thousand. But you know, I hear public testimony, and I understand where they're coming from. But keep in mind that if we lower the rate, I think if you lower the rate in a class without any other adjustment that you know you all have been discussing, what will happen is to balance the budget, we're going to have to cut the expenditure side, the appropriation side somewhere else. So just want to make that.
Can you refresh my memory on the number of registered B&Bs? I believe when we last met, it was nothing, and then it was a handful.
Projected for 25, we're talking 32 or 33 in that B&B class. It's not very much. Yeah.
Okay.
The TVU class will have more parcels under it.
Got it. And but we're still dealing with the issue of the non-registered illegal that are
Correct.
Contributing to the system.
Yeah,
at this
it's
point.
going to be work in progress. So we're all anticipating that as we move along, we're going to, you know, improve compliance. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Director. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions for Director Kawano? I have a quick question. So in Honolulu, the property tax rate is determined, it's based on the per $1,000, right? So for an example, the proposed bed and breakfast home is $6.50 per 1,000. If you were to convert that into a percentage, what would that be?
Well, if you just go by a decimal calculation, 650 per thousand is 0.0065 times the assessed value.
So put another way, well, it's obviously less than 1%, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Based on your experience with perhaps on the mainland and other places, typically properties are taxed well over 1%, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you. Also, just want to emphasize what you said earlier, that if we lower the rates on any of what the administration proposed, we have to cut the budget in the various departments, whether it's HPD ocean safety, parks, we have to find savings there, correct?
Assuming no other changes in real property tax rate, assuming that, we don't change where we are right now with regard to our proposed budget, that's correct, yes.
Thank you. And I've tried over the various years to raise the threshold for residential A from $1 million to 1.25 at 1 year to 1.3 million. And what consistently comes back from your department is that there will be a significant loss in revenue. So just as an example, if you're able to tell us, if we were to raise the threshold for tier 1 of residential A from 1 million to 1.3 million, which I think we all want to do, how much of an impact would that be on the budget?
I don't have the breakdown of assessed value by parcel, currently in the Res A class. So we would have to come back and get the information to you. I'd also like to share that a council member asked for a more detailed breakdown of what we have in TVU and with regard to TVU, what class the TVU class was in prior to the implementation of the new class. So we're in progress of submitting a written response to council members, and we can do the same with regard to your question because I don't have it now.
Please do. I see Administrator Takara there, and I know in previous discussions, it was anywhere between $10 to $30 million of a loss. So, members, in contemplating reducing the rate, please also consider where you're going to cut in the proposed budget. Yeah? So think about that. Determine how much revenue will be lost, and then find out in the budget where you would want to find that cost savings. I think that's just the responsible thing to do. But I also put it to you, Director. If you can, rather than us finding where to save the money, can we put it on you and your department heads to also figure out if we did want to lower taxes, where we would take this cost savings from? Rather you do it than us, I think would be preferable.
Well, before we go there, I just want to put out that, the mayor has a budget that I think we all put a lot of thought in with regard to proposal. It focuses on his priorities. I'd like to know what the reduction is going to look like first, because if it's extremely large, let's say it's $15 million, I'd like to really have in-depth discussion in Committee on Budget to discuss that kind of reduction, because it could impact city services if we get to a number that large. We also have the contingency, right, with regard to hazard pay out there that has to be funded. So there are a lot of moving pieces, and I just want to be deliberate. So we'll get you the data first. You all can look at it. We can have that discussion, Committee and Budget, is what I suggest.
Thank you. I think that is exactly what we want too, but you've already heard one council member say that we want to raise the threshold for Res A to 1.3 million. So we find out what kind of impact that would have, and then where you propose the cuts. One council member talked about lowering Tier 1 on the transient vacation rentals from $9 to $7.50. What impact would that have on the budget, and where do you propose the cuts? That would be helpful when you come back during budget committee meetings.
I understand. Thank you, Council Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion, members? Seeing none, thank you. Any objections or reservations at this time? Seeing none, no Noting no objections or reservations, CR 88 has been adopted and Resolution 24-61 has been referred back to the Committee on Budget. Thank you, members, for that lively discussion. Moving now to page 9, first reading measures. Members, we have several resolutions relating to the Salary Commission. We'll be taking testimony on all resolutions together. When your name is called, please begin by stating your name and the resolution you will be speaking on. After discussion on all the resolutions, we will then take a vote on each resolution separately, and that will be done through roll call. Members, my hope is that we can move all the measures forward to committee where we can have a robust discussion at that time. I do not want to curtail any discussion today, but I do hope that all measures move forward so that we can focus our discussion at committee. I also note that we do have 38 pages of bills and resolutions today, so keeping that in mind. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the motion.
Thank you, Chair. I actually am noting that the first readings are actually pages 9 to 13. I need to correct, I want confirmation from the clerk's office, not page 9 to 12. Is that correct?
Vice Chair, the Salary Commission measures are up through the first item on page 12.
Yes, but first reading items are up to page 13.
Yes, they are. It just depends.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Make the motion just on the Salary Commission.
Thank you.
Yes.
I move that the resolutions on page 9 to the top of page 12 pass first reading. Resolution 23-193, initiating amendments to the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu 1973 as amended relating to the Salary Commission. Resolution 24-82, initiating amendments to the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu 1973 as amended relating to the Salary Commission. Resolution 24-85, initiating amendments to the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu 1973 as amended relating to the Salary Commission. Resolution 24-86, initiating amendments to the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu 1973 as amended relating to the Salary Commission. Resolution 24-87, initiating amendments to the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu 1973 as amended relating to the Salary Commission. Resolution 24-91, initiating amendments to the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu 1973 as amended relating to the Salary Commission. Resolution 24-105, initiating amendments to the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu 1973 as amended relating to salaries.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Thank you, Councilmember Kia Aina, for the explanation. Next, registered testifiers. I note that Natalie Wasa has registered to testify on a number of these measures. She is in the audience. Please proceed.
Thank you, Natalie Wasa, for the record. I do have testimony on each one or comments on each one. On the first one, 23-193, I oppose this one. This one would make the salary, any recommendations of the Salary Commission go into effect automatically and not rejected or altered by the City Council. And until you folks propose that the commission, the makeup of the commission be changed, I do not think this is a good idea because currently, as you know, you and the mayor appoint all the commissioners, and there is no prohibition from appointing people who have relationships with you or the mayor, and that sets up a bad precedent, not precedent, but I'm sorry, I can't think of the word right now, but it's not good for public policy when you have friends or people that you know on the commission who may feel favorable to giving you increases. I do like the idea, however, of limiting the number of terms the commissioners can serve, so that's a good point on that resolution. Resolution 24-82, this one would allow the commission to set salaries for 2 years and only 2 years. But I think that we really need to have some flexibility, so I would prefer to see the option to have a 1 year. If something comes up, you know, you want to be able to take care of that, so I would ask that that be changed. This one also, if there's no council action, there's no increases, which is an interesting way to handle it. I'm not sure that that's a really good thing. But it also limits the increases to no more than 5%, which I think is a bit too low. I would much rather see 8% to 10%. We never know what is going to happen. We could have something like the pandemic come along again, or you know, we want to make sure that there's some flexibility without being unreasonable at the 64% rate. And the next one, Resolution 24-85, I support this one. This one maintains the three-quarter vote, which I think is, there's a lot of pressure from council members, and not saying anything against the chair, but in the past, I have seen where the chair has a lot of influence on the council members, and they, you know, they feel obligated to go with whatever the chair says. So I'm okay with a three-quarters vote. This one limits the increases to not more than 10% in a year, and I think that's reasonable. Resolution 24-86. This one requires a public hearing. Now, I really like this idea because it gives people more of an option to put their voices forth. I think it's great that we have the Salary Commission, and we have a lot of different commissions, but many people are not aware of what is happening within those commissions unless there's a media news report. So I do support the public hearing idea. And this also maintains the possibility to reject any or all of the recommendation. And I understand, Chair Waters, your point about not having to vote on your own salaries, but I think that this is such a heated issue, especially now, that the public really deserves to have that ability, and there is nobody else to vote for that. I mean, you already do that when you approve the budget because your salaries are within the budget. So those are my comments on that one. With respect to Resolution 2487, this one changes the vote from a three-quarter vote to a majority to reject any recommendation. I guess that's okay. I mean, you can hear what other people have to say about it. With respect to 24-91, I oppose this again because it removes the ability of the council members to reject the recommendations of the Salary Commission. It also limits the increases to no more than 3.5%, which, as I have stated, I think is a bit too low. And, you know, the one thing that's missing from these proposals is the makeup of the commission. So there was an article in the Civil Beat this morning, and they talked about a citizen lottery, which I find to be an interesting idea because that should remove potential conflicts within, you know, the appointee process. So I ask you to look at that. It may be too late for this year's vote or election, but I think that's a really interesting idea that should be discussed. Okay, with respect to Resolution 24-105, again, I oppose the removal of the authority for council to reject the resolutions unless you change the process of the appointment for commissioners. This resolution, I find, has an interesting idea, and I think it deserves much more discussion, and that is the idea that the salaries be tied to a formula for increases with the average increase of the collective bargaining agreements. Now, the only question I have with, I probably have more, but one of the questions I have with this is, are those agreements done in a timely manner so that the Salary Commission, when they come to do their work, that they have that information available? Because I seem to recall sometimes when the salary or the collective bargaining agreements haven't been done, you know, till closer to the end of the budgeting process. So I ask you to take a look at that. And I think that's the last one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Members, do you have any questions for Ms. Iwasa? I just have one quick one. I note that you testified saying that there should be a change in the appointment of the Salary Commission. Other than what you previously stated regarding an article in Civil Beat, do you have any suggestions on how that could be done? And we had this conversation last year.
Yes, so you may recall the other thought that I had was using our good governance nonprofit organizations like the Common Cause Hawaii, League of Women Voters, those types of organizations to have a representative on the commission. And that I feel removes this the relationship that might occur when these council members or the mayor make the appointments themselves.
Thank you. Members, any follow-up questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other registered in-person testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the registered testifiers.
Also remote testifiers?
No, we do have one person standing by registered remotely.
Please proceed.
Aloha, can you hear me, Chair Waters?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Great. Okay, so again, the optics of this, decisions does not bode very well. You guys just had the increase of 64% against a lot of overwhelming objections, and you have, you're also resisting you're also resisting the property tax walls that residents are talking about, with the tier threshold. But anyway, let me go back to my testimony, and I have, I think I've listed 5 of them, and there are more that I missed, so it's for every one of them. So let me just, I share with you in my written testimony the quote by
What number are you testifying
Kennedy.
on, June James?
Pardon?
What exact resolution are you testifying on?
Okay, I have 82, 85, 87, 86, 91.
Okay, let's start with 82, please.
193. Okay.
Let's start with 82, please.
Okay, but anyway, I just wanted to share with you again what John F. Kennedy has said. Ask not what your country can do for you and what you can do for your country. And it's the same thing. Ask not what your city can do for you, but what you can do for your city. And so it used to be that there was a time when serving and occupying public offices came out of a citizen's desire and heart to give back to society. Many would have accomplished much in their professional careers to allow them to serve freely, and they do not demand high compensation or benefits. And also serving public offices should not be a lifelong profitable career, which fortunately there's a term limit on this. So in my opinion, the 2023 pay raise of 64% was an ugly show of intransigent and undemocratic leadership. Public participation was denied. And despite widespread outcry
Sorry,
of
can I interrupt you for a second? So we're giving you 1 minute per resolution. So can you tell me again
let me just
which
combine all
resolutions?
together.
Yeah.
It's
So
going to
how
be
many
the same.
resolutions are you testifying on?
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them.
Okay, 6. So you have 6 minutes. You've used 2 minutes. You have 4 more minutes. Please proceed.
Okay. So the 2023 pay raise of 64% was ugly. And despite widespread outcry of public opposition, most of the city council members dug in its heels to ignore their constituents through refusal to hold hearings for the resolution of the 64% recommendation. But let me note that in the past, city council members and chairs like Ernie Martin have rejected the salary Commission, and I think it's very hard to legislate morality. They rejected such recommendation for pay raises to show empathy and respect for the constituents who were experiencing cost of living woes and also so forth. But again, the decision to embrace 64% last year and now to reject the 3% this year is not lost on the public consciousness. The math does not add up. And personally, I do not see a compelling need to create all these charter amendments. There are already existing tools, but the two biggest things that I think we need to protect and to preserve is that public participation and transparency must be the foundational keys to good governance. The public must have the right to discuss and participate in all the proposed salary commissions. And so it must always be the city council member who allow the public participation to happen, because the city council is the elected group, not the salary commission. So we should not be allowing a unelected commission to have so much power, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be the salary commission. And I do understand that the public has consistently questioned the possible conflicts of interest and the arm's length decision. The conversation between Rebecca Soon prior to her appointment to the Salary Commission, that was a very telling conversation that went in there. And those are the issues that constituents are worried about. So again, it has to be the elected city council member who must provide that conversation, that dialogue, that public participation for the decisions to be made. So lastly, relating to the salary commission again, Silverbit had talked about a lottery, but is the city hall confident enough to just go pick up a telephone directory, pick the everyman, which is how it's supposed to be, and nominate those everyday Joe, Uncle Kimo, whoever to be on the board? Allowing the Tom, Dick, and Harry to be on the board would be the epitome of grassroots and independent public participation. And we already know that the city has always provided existing legal counsel and staff to support this board and commission members. It's worth a try. If we're talking about wanting public comments and public dialogue, just get someone who you do not know, you do not have contracts with, you do not have any, you're not in a political inner circle. Just give that a try and see how it goes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any questions for June James? Saying none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other registered testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the registered testifiers.
Thank you. Do we have any unregistered testifiers? Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to testify? Aloha, Chair of the Salary Commission, please proceed.
I don't know. Good morning still, members. My name is Malia Spinda. I am the chair of the Honolulu Salary Commission, and thank you for the honor of serving in that capacity. To the testifiers, I just want to address, and the civil beat, and the membership of our commission this year and last year is not Tom, Dick, and Harry, I understand, because we actually have two state government employees who have the understanding who have worked for state for decades, so they have that understanding of being a up and coming, have risen in their profession. We had had two lawyers, including one who is now a judge, who brought strategic and a depth of understanding into the permitted interaction group, including one Native Hawaiian who is amazing in the role that she plays in our commission. I had and have two HRO directors from the city who provide that insight and that expertise. And I have two professional employment leaders who provide that insight as well. So this is the work that the Permitted Interaction Group and the Salary Commission do to analyze through the salary study that you all helped to support. And that we did is more than a lottery. I just want to make that very clear. The correction that we did for salaries last year, 19 out of 33 salaries commissions had not provided salaries for you all. We corrected that last year, and I know I'm not blind or ignorant or head in the sand to the controversy it caused. But that is for the professionalism that you all are, right? You testified to us that is 60 to 80 hours of work here. And you all go out into the streets and are there 24/7 on call and responding to your communities. That's not part-time work. The charter does not define full-time or part-time. But that is not, to me, that if you're on call 24/7, responding to your constituencies and working here 60 to 80 hours, we made the correction to your salaries as such. So I just wanted to address, and as far as transparency goes, we held those public hearings. We had testimony, including one of the testifiers who was more than welcomed to provide her input. And we would continue, that's the process. So there was public testimony. So I just wanted to address some of those things. Thank you. And I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for the Chair of the Salary Commission? Seeing none, thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Wire.
No questions, but I just wanted to say mahalo for the chair's work and the commission's work. I know that there's a lot of, like you mentioned, your head's not in the sand, and so I know that there's been a lot of controversy, but I just wanted to acknowledge that you've maintained a lot of professionalism and do appreciate that, and do appreciate the thoughtfulness that went into it, even though there's occasionally going to be disagreement on outcomes. And so just thank you.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tolba.
If I can ask a question to Salary Commission Chair.
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you. Could you explain the formula for salary increases, like in layman's terms, so that everybody can understand? Correct.
So we're bound by ordinance that we need to compare your positions to other city employees. The Permitted Interaction Group last year came out, through our meetings, we had a PIG. That PIG came out with recommendations. We then deliberated those 3 recommendations, which included the highest tier. They created 3 different tiers, and the highest tier would have had you all at the director level, right? Comparing, and again, we need to compare you to city employees. That's this chart. That's the ordinance as it stands. So what we we sort of had a joke then. We robusted the heck out of that conversation, right? Where are we going with all of this? And we landed on the EM8, comparing you all, and it's not the most. It's a challenge, right? You all are the legislative branch. That's the executive branch. So it's a bit of a challenge, but you are the leaders of your legislative branch. So we did a comparison to you to the leaders of an administration division, the EM8s. So which to me...
Explain to people what the EM8 means.
Executive Management 8. So there are directors and deputies, and then there's divisions throughout the city and state. And those are the leaders of their departments. And those can be large departments, they can be smaller departments, but those are the leaders of those departments. Again, the pig had you all compared to directors and or deputies, but in our conversation, in our robust conversation, we came to an agreement on EM8. And it's not perfect, but it's as close to an analogy that we can come to between legislative branch and executive branch. So the EM8, and for me, in a state level, I know that there are EM7s and EM8s that are responsible for vast districts and vast bodies of people. And in a way, that's what you all are responsible for, right? That you all are responsible for the overarching policy and budget of this city, but you're also very responsible for your constituency in your districts of 120,000 plus people. And so that was the analogy that we made, the tethering between your positions and the EM8 positions. I hope that's clear.
Okay, thank you for that.
One more thing, if I may.
Yeah.
The EM8s in the city can rise, right? Over time, they will continue to go up through collective bargaining. In this case, your EM8s are tethered to the starting level, period. Unless, as we come in year over year to then make our increase recommendations. But as of last year, it's EM8 starting.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. Any further discussion? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair. Yeah, no questions, but I thank the Chair for being here. And I think, as we discuss the resolutions in front of us, even though I have a lot to say about previous things, I'll just talk about the resolutions in front of us because I just want to say that I'm grateful that we're having the discussion to see if we can't give some guidance, seeing as though a lot of what the Salary Commission does is not a lot, all of it is dictated in the charter. So unless we put those guardrails or that guidance in the charter, then they have only that to follow. So I just want to thank yourself, Chair, for being able putting this in because 7 different proposals will give us a lot of ability to weigh in what we think would be best. And the main thing is that we think something should change. We don't know exactly how, but I think seeing something change would greatly suffice the people who have brought forward their concerns. Maybe not to the level they're bringing it, but something needs to change. So I do agree that, the work that they've done is, to be honest, stellar. I mean, I've read all the documents. A lot of it is thorough. There's lots of market comparisons. I would say that it's super high level, meaning it's a little bit tough for just the regular person to understand. So there's kind of that discrepancy, right? It's we want commissions with all this ability and intellect, but then at the same time we want to be able to kind of make it make sense for our constituents. So we got to find an even ground, and I'm just grateful for those who have put these forward. I look forward to the discussion. Thank you to yourself for allowing this to happen, and I'm hopeful that we can get something on the ballot this year. Mahalo.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Kia Aino.
Chair, I wanted to also just echo the comments by my colleagues with regard to how difficult the job of the Salary Commission is, both for the commissioners as well as the staff. And so I just wanted to mahalo the chair and everyone for their hard work. As we move forward with all of the resolutions today, I am hopeful that at the committee hearing, that as many commissioners as can without violating sunshine laws, as well as staff be present to answer questions during the dialogue in the committee.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Okimoto, followed by Tolba.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the more civil discussion that we're having this month than in previous discussions. And I would also like to add on my mahalo because I know that this hasn't been an easy topic. And I think moving forward, I really hope that we're so focused on the 64%, and I've heard phrases like the math doesn't add up and so forth. But, I really hope that, I want to say I appreciate those people, especially in my district and my constituency, who have taken the time to listen and understand and get all the facts. Unfortunately, what I experienced in the past was that what was portrayed in the media wasn't completely accurate. So I think if you're looking at the math, which I've stated in the past on record, the reason for that number was, like, Salary Commission Chair mentioned, that there was a lag. And I appreciate those who have recognized that this is a 24/7 hour job. If we're doing it right, those of us who are here every month, every committee, and our phones are always on, we're always on. And I think my purpose of the resolution that was introduced on my behalf, I understand the concerns, but again, my purpose was not to remove the council for non-transparency reasons, but because it has become a political issue. And in the past, as mentioned last year, 19 of 33 times that the commission brought forth a number, for one reason or another, the council rejected it. And in many ways, it's due to the fact that maybe they were in an election year or some other reason. But because of that, the discrepancy was so vast that the commission then had to take a huge jump to move us not to the top layer tier, but to some tier that was comparable to what their job and the charter requires them to do. So I really hope and pray that the public really stops focusing on that 64% and really listen to the facts. And the reason I introduced it this way again, and if it's not a perfect thing, I've loved to continue to have discussion, but I want to see how other counties are doing it, and we have this unique aspect in our county where we do have the opportunity to reject it. We don't vote on it. That's another thing that I think the public needs to understand. We don't actually vote on it. We don't choose it. The commission by charter does their job. But if we could somehow remove the process of it being a political thing, you mentioned not having us vote on it, it's a process. Inflation goes up, every government employee gets an increase based on the cost of living, based on inflation. That's a standard thing. So that should also be what's happening with us, noting that there are circumstances where if there's a pandemic or a natural disaster, something that's stopping all government employees from getting increases, that we also are not going to be taking the increase at that time. But I really hope that as we move forward, we are not pitting ourselves against each other. I really hope that the public understands this, and that we ourselves in this body understand that we shouldn't be pitting ourselves against each other. Those of us who take this seriously, this is a full-time job, and there is no overtime or holiday pay, but we're working 24/7. We also have to support our families, and not to detract from what anybody else is doing. But I hope that as we move forward, we're looking at the facts and not just taking emotional stances on things, because the facts are what I think Chair Espina shared with us earlier today. So thank you for letting me share. And again, hopefully we can discuss this and get something so that any future council doesn't have to face what we did last year. We took the beating for what had happened over decades of deferred pay increases. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Tolba.
Thank you, Chair. Just a few comments. Last year, I had many people from the community that were upset about the 64% raise, and I appreciate we are having the discussion. The three resolutions that I introduced represent the ideas of the community. To say raises are not political, I think it is, because it's taxpayer money. So first, Resolution 24-85 proposes a 10% cap on all salary increases for elected and appointed officials within the city during the first fiscal year. This resolution lets constituents know that the one-time 64% raise won't ever happen again. The second resolution, Resolution 24-86, would require the City Council to hold a public hearing on any resolution issued by the Salary Commission proposing to alter the salaries of city officials. Again, this idea came from the community members who were upset that they couldn't testify in front of council members who was elected by them. My third amendment, Resolution 25-87, would ask voters to change the charter and allow the Honolulu City Council to reject all or a portion of the Salary Commission's recommendations by a simple majority vote rather than the 3/4 affirmative vote, which is currently required. The people in my community were wondering why it was 3/4 rather than the majority to elect the salary increases. The goal of my amendments are to raise ideas inspired by the community and let the voters decide through the ballot process. Again, they say raises are political. This is taxpayers' money, and we are looking to find relief for the first quarter of this committee meeting, relief for homeowners and everybody else. So I would always want to leave it to the voters who elected us as public officials to lead by example. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, this requires a roll call vote, members. Roll call vote. And again, it's my hope that all measures make it to committee so we can continue this robust discussion. First, Resolution 23-193. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam is absent. Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Aye. Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. Resolution 23-193 has passed first reading. Mr. Clerk, Resolution 24-82. Roll call.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam is absent. Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. Resolution 24-82 has passed first reading. Resolution 24-85. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam is absent. Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. Resolution 24-85 has passed first reading. 24-86. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam is absent. Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba? Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. Resolution 24-86 has passed first reading. Moving to the top of page 11, Resolution 24-87. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam is absent. Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba? Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. Resolution 24-87 has passed first reading. Moving to the bottom of page 11, 24-91. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam is absent. Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. Resolution 24-91 has passed first reading. Moving to the top of page 12, Resolution 24-105. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam is absent. Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. Resolution 24-105 has passed first reading. Members, it is now 12 o'clock. I will defer to the membership. Would you like to finish the first reading measures from page 12 through 15, then take a lunch break, or take the lunch break now? Councilmember Cordero.
I would like to finish with first reading items and then take the lunch break. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further input? Councilmember Wire?
I'll defer, but would just throw out for consideration that page 16 contains items that somewhat relate to, I think, one of the first reading items, and just in the sense that if there's folks that are testifying on all three, if it fits, but I understand we're trying to break for lunch.
Actually, good point. These are the ocean safety related items. I have a feeling though those might go long. But again, I'll defer to the membership. Councilmember Cordero.
I take back what I said. Thank
Pardon?
you, Chair. I take back what I said. Thank you.
Okay.
I would
Councilmember
recommend that
Kiaina,
we just go through first reading items.
with or without ocean safety? The discussion items. So you just want Councilmember Say, do you have an opinion?
Nope, the opinion was that we just go through all of the first readings.
Okay, that would be page 12 through 15. 12 through 15. Councilmember Tupola, do you have?
Yeah, so I guess the clarity is that on page 16, we have discussion items that deal with the first reading item on page 15. But I would agree with Chair Waters that will be a little bit longer. So whether or not we go through all the first item or we leave page 15 to be dealt with after lunch and deal with it with for discussion items, it's up to you. But that's where the tie-in is just the last first reading item.
A good point. Members, why don't we do this? Let's do page 12, 13, and 14, see where we're at, and then decide at that point if we can go forward or take a lunch break. Okay, let's move to the bottom of page 12. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that Resolution 24-101 pass first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution initiates an amendments to Article 3 and Article, is that 16? Article 16 of the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu 1973 is amended.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Well, did we get a second? Yep, thank you. Thank you for the explanation. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Noting none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam is absent. Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. Resolution 24-101 has passed first reading. Moving to the top of page 13, Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that Resolution 24-102 pass first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution initiates miscellaneous amendments to the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu 1973 is amended.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have Ms. Iwasa registered in person.
Hello, Ms. Iwasa. Welcome back. Please proceed.
Thank you, Natalie Wassa. For the record, I oppose this resolution. So what this does, or what it would do, is limit the terms of certain people like the police chief, fire chief, board of water service head, heart head, and these positions all require certain experience or skills. And so, you know, they have a limited pool that we would be drawing from. So I think that limiting the terms of those officials is not a good idea, not good policy. This resolution would also authorize DPP to adopt certain rules and then also limit the service of certain board commission members when being appointed for those boards or commissions, plus some other things. And the other point that why I don't think this is a good idea is because it has so many different ideas in one question. And when you have that, voters get confused. They may support one thing but not another. And I just think that this is a bad question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, do you have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam is absent. Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Reservations.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 7 ayes, 2 members are absent.
Thank you. Resolution 24-102 has passed first reading. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that Bill 22 pass first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
This bill relates to the fire code and addresses fireworks use and permitting in the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Yes, we have 2 persons signed up in person, and I believe 1 person logged on.
Okay.
starting with.
I believe in person is Chad Cloutier? Cloutier, is that correct, Mr. Clerk? Are you Mr. Cloutier?
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Please proceed.
It's on. Chair Waters, council members, my name is Chad Cloutier. I am Director of Sales for TNT Fireworks. I was born not the case. The situation we have today is an even larger illegal market, one that is unregulated and highly profitable. So we as the industry believe that if given a safer alternative, one that families can celebrate safely with, then that would be a better option. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Ms. Iwasa?
Thank you, Natalie Iwasa, for the record. I support this bill, and thank you, Councilmember Say, for introducing it. I remember when Nestor Garcia was the chair back in 2010, and the bill to ban fireworks first came up, and there was a young woman who came up and testified, and she said, okay, so I can carry a gun in my pocket, but you're not gonna allow me to have a sparkler. And I thought that hit right home, because how ridiculous is it to have something where you can shoot somebody and not allow a simple sparkler. So I agree with the prior testifier that if we have limited consumer fireworks.
We have one person remotely logged on.
Okay, please proceed.
Aloha, council members. As a resident of Honolulu and a father, I, Mark Britos, wholeheartedly endorse Bill 22. I believe it to be a beneficial proposal for our city and our families. Many of us, including probably yourselves, I'm sure, have cherished memories of our childhood when we would delight in crackling of fireworks, the shimmer of sparklers, and the grandeur of fountains during New Year's festivities with our loved ones. These days of innocent joy are now a thing of the past. Despite the ban, aerial exhibitions have been on the rise annually. It's clear that eradicating them completely is a challenge. However, Bill 22 offers a compromise by allowing the limited use of specific fireworks. This not only promotes safety and reduces accidents and fires, but also presents a significant economic opportunity for the city and county to generate revenue through taxation. Ultimately, this proposal, I believe, strikes a harmonious balance between safety concerns and the preservation of our cherished firework traditions. My primary argument for the implementation of this law is to prevent the loss of our cultural and family traditions that were once revered and celebrated during New Year's festivities. By allowing families to once again partake in this special consumer fireworks, we can not only revive, but also preserve these traditional practices, a responsibility that we all share. I have confidence in your support for this legislation. We really need to reevaluate the ban on enjoying New Year's memories legally and safely. Bill 22 and myself believe that this proposal are beneficial for Honolulu. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Seeing none. Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to testify on Bill 22? Is this Chief Birch?
Hi, good afternoon, Council Chair, Vice Chair, and Council members. I'm J.C. Bish with the Honolulu Fire Department Fire Prevention Bureau. We are in opposition of Bill 22 and the use of any consumer fireworks. If I could provide a few statistics, the year after the consumer fireworks bill went into place, medical emergencies related to fireworks went down 86%. In relation to fires, which include rubbish fires, structure fires, and wildland fires like the one we had on Lanai, those fires went down New Year's of the year after the ban, 89%. So for public safety, we're opposing Bill 22 at this time.
Thank you. Any questions for Fire Chief? Councilmember Wire.
No questions. I understand this is first reading, so I'm just going to note my reservations.
Okay, thank you. We're in discussion, members. Councilmember Say.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Being the sponsor of the measure, I'd like to recognize the HFD's concerns over removing the ban on novelty fireworks, such as sparklers and small fountains, which our 4 sister counties currently allow it. Kauai, Maui, and Hawaii allows novelties. I also believe that the overwhelming apparent culprit in New Year's fires and injuries will always remain illegal aerial fireworks. It's my understanding that the current ban on display fireworks is not only viewed as excessive in the public's mind, but it has also escalated the use of aerial fireworks, which further exacerbates an already precarious situation on New Year's Eve. Every year, all of us can see the videos in our televisions of the Oahu skyline, just full of aerial fireworks. It is not getting any better. It is just getting worse. So reestablishing a parity with the Hawaii island of Maui, Kauai, and Hawaii counties, I believe there is no difference from allowing firecrackers with permits, and as a side note, also bring back some of the fun and bonding of families. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Noting the reservations of Councilmember Wire. Any other objections or reservations? Seeing none, Bill 22 has passed first reading. Moving to the top of page 14, Vice Chair Kiaina.
I move that Bill 23 pass first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kiaina for the explanation.
This bill relates to gifts to city officers and employees, basically clarifying which gifts to city officers and employees may be solicited or accepted.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Yes, we have Ms. Iwasa signed up to testify.
She's signaling that she's not signed up to testify, but thank you. I see. Do we have any other registered testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I have one person in the chamber perhaps wanting to.
Thank you. I'll call for unregistered testifiers. Mr. Gary, Tim Gary, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon. I want to testify about Bill 23. I think this should be amended. I know that there was previous discussion on a $50 limit of certain things. I'm opposed to any people working for the city county accepting anything, maybe a lei. Other than that, you shouldn't receive any gifts. You understand, somebody gives you a gift, they're trying to influence you. The reason I ran for office multiple times and devoted hundreds of hours to the Ethics Commission was just because of this. It starts small. It's like a gateway to influence. And then we have to bring in special prosecutors from out of state to clean up the mess. You all make good money now. You should not be influenced by anything. You should not receive any gifts. A lei might be appropriate. I strongly oppose you accepting any gifts. And it's kind of ironic that when this was brought up by the Councilman Tam, he was a former lobbyist. That's how he made his living, was trying to influence law. So I hope you would reconsider this, amend it to where nobody receives any gifts, no free lunches, nothing. I think it would add to your integrity, especially now that you're paid well. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Gary? Councilmember Wire.
Yeah, no, I just had a quick question because I actually really understand the sentiment and avoiding like the perception of impropriety, even if there's none there. But I didn't really hear a bright line rule for me, so I was just curious if you could shed light on maybe like what the bright line rule would say. You're saying no gifts at all, but you said maybe a lei, or, and I just asked because like we got these little Purple Heart pins today, right, from the veterans we were honoring, and so I'm just trying to understand like exactly what you're meaning when you're saying no gifts. It sounds like maybe more monetary value type stuff, or like no cookies, or yeah.
If somebody's giving you a gift, they're trying to influence you. That has no monetary value, the little purple pin, right? That's just like wearing a pin for USA pin or whatever. I'm talking about the Rod Tam rule. Maybe you don't know who he was. He was before your time. Maybe Calvin does. Rod Tam went out to lunch every day. Rod Tam solicited money every day. And it led to him being slapped heavily. It's all about the money, right? It's all about the money. That is the central point in all these convictions that are going on with bribery and stuff. State people that have been convicted or serving time, that all initiates with an introduction, a lunch or something. Then it snowballs into where you're getting an envelope of cash thrown on the floor. So, like I said, you all make good money now. You don't need undue influence. If somebody's giving you a gift, there's a reason why they're giving you the gift. People just off the street aren't just going to walk up to you and give you a gift. They're going to want something back. It's human nature. So with all this stuff going on with the previous administration all being in court, some of them convicted, some in trial, I don't know why you would want to put yourself in that position, because people are going to be looking, right? And also it would make the job of the Ethics Commission a lot easier. Even though last year the Ethics Commission, you know how many cases they decided on in a whole year? 3. With a fine value of like $300. So obviously they're not catching this. It's being caught by Michael Wheat. And that's where we end up. We have to bring in outside people to clean up the messes that aren't caught in time. So I think if we just had a standard of 0, if somebody wants to talk to you, that's fine, have a meeting. But there's no reason for them to influence you with a $50 lunch every week. So that's just my 2 cents. I put in hundreds of hours at the Ethics Commission. Ms. Owasi, me, sometimes we're the only people there for years. And I've seen it, and a lot of you maybe have forgot what has happened in the past. Like I said, a lei, a little Purple Heart, that's fine. But when you get into going out to lunch with lobbyists once a week because they're pushing some project on you, that's not good. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, no, thank you for that insight. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Noting no objections or reservations, Bill 23 has passed first reading. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that Bill 24 pass first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kiana for the explanation.
This bill adopts the revised primary urban center development plan for the city and county of Honolulu.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one person signed up to testify. I'm not so certain he's here, though.
Is that Winston Welch?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Welch, are you available? There he is. Aloha, welcome. Please proceed.
Good morning, everyone. We're on Bill 24, right? Just to keep right, I'm sorry. Yes, okay. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Winston Welch. I'm testifying in capacity as chair of Neighborhood Board Number 5, which is Diamond Head, Kapahulu, St. Louis Heights, and we're represented by Calvin and Tommy quite admirably. This is first reading, but I wanted to let you know you're going to be voting on all these PUCDP, and I would ask that for those of you that are not in this district, that you do visit the folks that are in this district. So you're welcome to come, and I would gladly give you a tour on a granular level of how this will affect our neighborhood. We're envisioning with this wholesale changes just to my neighborhood. That's what we're looking at. Essentially like a 5-story building right where a 1-story building is now. This is a dramatic change to a neighborhood. We don't have parking and infrastructure and those types of things as it is right now. But when you're just looking at the character and consistency of a neighborhood, that's a huge change. So we are asking for some changes to be made. They are found in the written testimony submitted in a resolution passed by Neighborhood Board Number 5. The other neighborhoods that are affected by this may have some information, but I would posit that most people do not have any idea that this PUCDP has been advanced this far. They don't know what's in it. I asked DPP if they could send a postcard to every affected household, just a simple postcard. It costs a dime or something like that says we're thinking about these changes in your neighborhood. They did not do that. I mean, we get flyers from you all. Maybe you could include it in there. But the point is that my neighbor has no idea that my house could suddenly become a 5-story house across from him. And a lot of people won't be happy on that. So simply put, we just don't know what's going on. Please listen to the neighborhood boards or others that have an idea about this. I look forward to welcoming you on whatever way doesn't violate sunshine laws. And after today's New York Times article about Hawaii, which puts us on the map, I think that rightly or wrongly, there's a perception that developers and development absolutely are in the driver's seat here. And so we should be cognizant of that moving forward and make sure that we are listening to our constituents and understand what's out there. Anyway, I look forward to hosting you, and thank you for your time and consideration as this bill moves forward.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Welch? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, I believe that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you, members. We're in discussion. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the previous testifier. This bill will likely be referred to the Planning and the Economy Committee, which I chair, and I am quite aware of how important all of these plans are for communities, and so I just highly recommend, I'll take you up on your offer, sir, actually, and I'll look at the resolution you passed, but this primary urban center development plan is actually scans 5 of our council members, Councilmember Waters, Councilmember Say, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, Councilmember Cordero, and Councilmember Okimoto from Kahala to Pearl City. So it's going to be a big undertaking. I know for myself, in getting briefed from DPP, it was a lot of issues that were raised. I was concerned about the quality of the emergency preparedness section, and I just feel that not just given what has happened to Maui, but what I perceive as ill preparedness on behalf of many of our communities throughout the state, including on Oahu, that we need to heed the lessons learned by all disasters and do a better job and be inclusive of our community emergency response teams in all of our communities. So I know that's one area that I'm going to be working on, but I know that each of the members impacted, I highly recommend you take a look at it so that when we have the hearing that people will be coming prepared with potential amendments. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? I just want to add to those sentiments, members who are currently in the primary urban core, right? The general plan guides growth for the entire island. And what the general plan says is that growth should occur in the primary urban core and the EVA district. So it's really important that we take a look at this, and we typically do this every 10 years. So it's really important. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, Bill 24 has passed first reading. Members, my apologies. I do want to recognize Ms. Nowicki from the Ethics Commission, who was here available for questions regarding Bill 23. I don't want to go back to Bill 23, but I just want to recognize and thank her for being here. And hopefully we have a lively discussion on Bill 23 in committee. So thank you for being here. Members, it is now 12:30 and we are on page 15. Shall we take a 45-minute break at this point? Yeah. Okay, 45 minutes. I know often people come later than that. That's why I figure we start at 45 minutes. We'll be back at 1:15. Thank you, members.